Hello everybody, my name is Tyler Miller. I'm a psychology and communication student at Arizona State University. Today I'd like to take a little bit of time to talk about therapy. And I'm of the opinion that everyone should go to therapy if they have it within their financial means to do so. So throughout this video, I'll talk about why I think that's the case. But first, I want to talk about why I think it's important to go to a therapist rather than a friend or a mentor. And a therapist goes to therapy themselves. So the idea behind that is that it's kind of like an emotionally healthy adult showing another adult on their way to emotional happiness how to get there. Now, the second reason is that a therapist has gone through a lot of training to be able to draw out some of the deeper emotional things behind what you're saying. And I really look forward to that for when I go to therapy because I think it can provide a lot of clarity. The next reason is that a therapist can provide a lot of objectivity that a friend or a mentor can't oftentimes bring. And a part of that is, back to the therapy thing, in that a therapist deals with their issues in therapy, so they don't transpose your issue onto their life issues. And I get this feeling when I tell people stories sometimes, like, I tell them something about my life and they try to relate to their life, but it doesn't line up. So I think that's a common experience. But the next reason is that a friend or a mentor has preconceived notions about who they think that you are. And so when you tell them a story, they're viewing the story through this lens of who they think that you are. And a therapist doesn't know much about you to begin with. And they also, once they do know more about you, are trained to kind of not do that, to kind of keep their distance a little bit. But then once they do know a lot about you, then you tell them something, they can still empathize with what you're saying and take everything that you say at face value. So, on to the reasons why I think it's important that everybody goes to therapy. One of the reasons is that it shows a lot of humility, and I think that we have a lot of reasons to be humble if we look at the world, and I kind of work with the paradigm that everyone wants to be happy and tries to be happy, but a lot of people fail, We got 50% divorce rate, and it's not like everybody who stays together is happy. We got a bunch of things on the macro level, the political level, and the micro level, everything from depression and social awkwardness and relational dissatisfaction. So there are a lot of issues, and I want to do everything that I can to make sure that I'm not one of those people who fail at being happy, So that's just kind of the paradigm that I work with. So the next reason is the financial benefit. And therapy is expensive up front a lot of times, although caveat to that is if you go to university with insurance, it can end up being like $15 per session. And if you don't have insurance or you still need something cheaper, you can see a graduate student who is being watched over by a professional. And so that part of it can be cheap, but oftentimes it is very expensive. But tons of research shows that the long-term benefits of therapy can be very beneficial to your pocketbook. So there are a lot of reasons to this, and one reason is that it teaches you emotional skills that can be used in your personal relationships and your work relationships. So this can help with negotiation skills, it can help with problem solving, it can help with so many different emotional issues that go into a work environment. And it ends up helping you move up in your company, or get better jobs, or get bigger pay raises. So pretty big benefit. And then there's kind of a more abstract level that applies to businesses and personal relationships. And we are all enormously expressive beings and perceptive beings. And I don't know if a lot of you have heard of the statistics that 95% of nonverbal communication, 95% of communication is nonverbal. It's not quite that high. Further research has shown it's more like 65%, but it's still a huge amount of communication that is nonverbal, and a huge amount of communication is subconscious. And so coworkers and bosses and just people that you run into kind of know your emotional weaknesses. They know where to push your buttons. They know so many things about you. It's kind of crazy. Things that you didn't really think that you were expressing, you are expressing, and they are perceiving. And so if you go to therapy, you can kind of get rid of those blind spots and get rid of those negative expressions or those weak expressions that you're giving off, and you can be a lot more assertive and a lot more specific in your nonverbal subconscious communication and your conscious communication. So those are a few of the reasons why I think it's important for everybody to go to therapy. And it takes a lot of humility, and it takes a lot of courage, as I'm finding out right now. I'm trying to go to therapy myself, and man, it takes a lot of courage to even call these people and to find out if I want to go to my first meeting with them, find out if they're compatible. And it can be difficult once you get into therapy too, because, some deep emotional issues can be brought up, but I do think it's really important. And I'll lay out a few scenarios, a worst case scenario and a best case scenario. So the worst case scenario is you go to therapy and you have a few boring or awkward appointments with a couple different therapists. You waste a couple hours of your life. You waste enough money for a couple wardrobes. And I think that's all that pretty much can happen negatively to you. The best case scenario, though, is you learn some great emotional skills that can be applied to your work situations and your relationship situations. It can help you increase your pay. It can remove tons of different barriers to happiness. It can help you raise happy children, bring happy people into your life, bring positive people into your life. And on a larger level, not to sound too grandiose here, but I think this is a very important way that we can progress society. So those are the benefits, and they're huge, and I'm going to go for it, and I hope that you guys go for it. And I'm going to post some more videos soon about other psychological issues and interesting things that have to do with psychology. So thank you for listening, and tune back in.